Today, I'm going to show you what Halo Infinite looks like played at the 4x3 stretched resolution on PC, and show you how to do it, plus give you my thoughts on whether it gives any aim advantages. So be sure to stick around to the end of the video to hear my thoughts on if it grants you extra special aim powers for that super chunkiness. Playing competitive FPS games at 4x3 stretched or 1610 stretched, or the ultra chunk of 5x4 stretched, has been a tale as old as time. Well, at least in Counter-Strike time, that is. What is 4x3 stretched, and why do so many PC Pro FPS players use this resolution? The stretched 4x3 resolution rose in popularity in the Counter-Strike Pro scene, with a lot of pros praising stretched as the only way to play CS. Other FPS games kind of followed suit, with Siege having an option very accessible, and Epic going so far as to ban stretched from Fortnite tournaments. Games are built around a native aspect ratio these days, typically of 16:9. Yes, games support a wide range of widescreen aspect ratios, but on the whole, 16:9 is what most games are designed around. When you set an aspect ratio of 4:3, the game is rendering essentially this right here. So you lose, on the side, some of this peripheral vision, as the game is just rendering 4 pixels wide for every 3 pixels tall. Then you have your graphics card, which can take that 4:3 render and scale it to fill the full monitor, and then you're left with something that looks like this. This stretch causes a distortion of sorts, which causes targets to appear, well, wider. This perception of a wider target is what many Counter-Strike players say give them an easier time clicking on those crispy heads. Additionally, by taking the 4x3 and stretching it, the game has the illusion of feeling faster, with crosshair motions feeling more exaggerated and movement past objects feeling much quicker. It isn't, it's just all a perception thing. Now, if you want to truly deep dive on why just so many pro players use stretch resolution in games like Counter-Strike, and if it actually offers a scientifically measurable advantage, you can check out the Score Esports channel video in the description. They bring in a ton of CSGO pros and a university expert to talk about, does this actually give you any advantage? Okay, so I want to show you how to do this first. If you have an NVIDIA GPU, for you AMD users, I really don't know how to do the scaling trick. You'll have to look into it yourself. First, you're going to take a look at this chart right here. Find your normal 16:9 resolution that you play on, and on the right, you will see what resolution that relates to as 4x3. Then we're going to come into the NVIDIA control panel by right-clicking on our desktop and selecting NVIDIA control panel. Using that chart from earlier, you can take your normal 16:9 resolution and look for its equivalent in 4x3. If you don't have that resolution listed here, you can come into Customize, and you can select Create Custom Resolution. From here, the only thing we're really looking at is our horizontal pixels, and then the vertical lines right here. You don't need to touch anything else. Once you've put that in for the matching resolution, you click Test, and it should be then supported in the list. So I'll select 1920 by 1440, which is probably going to melt this recording. So I have no idea if it's going to carry forward this record. Oh, it did carry forward the recording. I wonder what this is going to look like. Anyway, now you should have the black bars on your desktop. The next step is to come down to Adjust Desktop Size and Position. And from here, in the scaling section, you're just going to select full screen and click Apply. And my friends, say hello to the chunkiness. Your next step is to just launch Halo Infinite, and hello, 4x3 stretch. If there are any AMD users who are watching this video who know how to do this scaling option, please drop a comment below so I can pin it for others to see. So I played a few hours on stretched last night, and what I found was kind of surprising, at least to myself. Just for reference, I'm playing Halo Infinite on a controller. I spent a full year and a half playing the Master Chief Collection only on mouse, and I pretty much play every FPS on mouse. But growing up with Halo on the controller, I've just wanted to stick with the pad in Halo Infinite, primarily because controller, I believe, just feels a lot better in Infinite. I think mouse in Infinite feels pretty wonky. So keep that in mind. Everything you're seeing is on controller. So at first I didn't really like the distortion, except for the match start screen. Seeing the chunky Spartan models was a good laugh, for sure. The stretch made aiming feel different, substantially. What once was muscle memory, like snapping to targets, felt off, and I definitely did not like the initial experience. But I wanted to power through and give it a few hours. I did notice that targets were a lot easier to trace in a gunfight, because they were so much larger. I don't know if the stretch accentuated the enemy player movement more, or if the stretch highlighted just how much I was moving my crosshair while trying to trace them. but following an opponent with my crosshair in like a strafe gun battle did feel slightly easier. Remember that the stretched conversation has had debates for over a decade now, with some Counter-Strike pros absolutely swearing by it and others claiming it's nothing more than a placebo effect. However, there are enough pros utilizing it in Counter-Strike, Siege, and other games that I do believe that there likely is some merit here. Plenty of full-time pro FPS players swear by the fact that it just feels better. At the end of a 2-hour session of Infinite, I kinda loved the way strafe battles felt. I also could have just been paying closer attention to my shot since every movement felt way more accentuated. It's important to note that even though the targets feel bigger, they are not. Everything in the game world is being distorted and scaled with that stretch. So it's not like the game is actually rendering the player models fatter. Everything is being stretched. I'll leave it up to the player base to decide if they like the stretched or not. You do lose some of your field of view, which has absolutely cost players awareness at the high level before.
Just hiding behind the rock. He'll spot him. Does he see him? Does he see him? 4x3. 4x3. There's no way he didn't see him on the right side.
Also, huge thanks to Epos Vox for sending me over the Ultra Chunk, where he got 4x3 stretched working on an ultra wide monitor, and for whatever reason he put himself through that ultra stretch and gave you some footage to check out here. This one makes me feel nauseous. This one's a little overkill. 4-3 stretch to 16-9, all right, but ultra wide, I think we're going over the limits there. If you decide to play stretched, let me know what you think of it. If you're looking also to dial in your controller settings, be sure to click the video on screen, which will help you set the best dead zones, input thresholds, and more to feel the best you can on the controller. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.